Hi everyone, Dr. Beena here. Today's topic is tumor markers. What are tumor markers? They are defined as biochemical substances which are hormones, enzymes, or proteins synthesized and released by cancer cells or produced by the host in response to cancer substance and are used to monitor or identify the presence of a cancerous growth. They are also known as tumor index substance. Now, where are they seen in our body? They are seen in blood, body cavity fluids, cell membranes, and cell cytoplasm. They differ from substance produced by the normal cells in their quantity and quality. Now, looking back to the history, way back in 1863, the first tumor marker identified was Bence-Jones protein of multiple myeloma. Later, in 1940, acid phosphatase also identified for the prostatic tumors, and in 1963 alpha fetoprotein of hepatocellular carcinoma, and in 1980 CA125 and prostatic specific antigens also discovered. Now, what are the importance of tumor markers? They are used for the diagnosis of tumors and their prognosis as well as the follow-up and therapy. Now, what are the clinical significance of tumor markers? They are used for screening asymptomatic population and also for diagnosing symptomatic patients. They are a good prognostic predictor. They are used as an adjunct in the clinical staging of cancer. You know what is staging of cancer. So if you are measuring the tumor marker, you can get an idea about the stage of cancer. They are also used for monitoring during treatment. That is when you are treating with either chemotherapy or radiation or surgery. If you are serially measuring the tumor marker, you can monitor the prognosis of the case. Then they are also used for early detection of relapses or recurrence in patients. So even before developing the signs and symptoms, and you can get an idea about the recurrence. But there is no ideal marker for every cancer. Oncologists use them judiciously in cancer care and the treatment. Now, what are the characters of an ideal tumor marker? There are two types of criteria for becoming an ideal tumor marker, that is analytic criteria and the clinical criteria. Analytic criteria are the one where the tumor marker is whether it is high sensitivity and it should be of specific type and should be accurate and precise. So that should be the qualities of a ideal tumor marker. Their methods of estimation should be simple, easy to measure and rapid. They should not be very costly. The method should not be very costly. Then clinical criteria. They should be disease sensitive and should have high disease specificity. There should not be any false negative results, and it will be positive for all tumors of a particular cancer, all patients of a particular tumor. The value should be stable and should correlate with the cancerous process and with the cure rate. Values should not be fluctuating. Then it should prognosticate the high risk cancer patients from the low risk case, and it should predict the relapse or recurrence of the cancer. Now, what are the methods of detection? There are two types of methods, immunohistochemical and immunocytological tests and the biochemical test. Tumor marker present on cell membrane and cell cytoplasm are measured by this immunohistochemical. They are present on the cell membrane and cell cytoplasm. Examples are immunofluorescence test, immunoperoxidase, and immunohistochemistry and monoclonal antibody technology. Now, what are the biochemical tests? Tumor markers seen in the blood circulation. They are usually tested by the biochemical test. Example, radioimmunoassay, enzyme-linked sorbent assay, that is ELISA, and the immunochemical reaction. So there are two types of methods. When the tumors present in the cell membrane or cytoplasm, usual methods are immunohistochemical or immunocytological test. Suppose the tumor marker is present in the blood, there should be biochemical tests done in the blood using radioimmunoassay, ELISA or immunochemical reactions. Now there are two types of tumor markers, that is tumor specific antigen and tumor associated antigen. Tumor specific antigens are the direct product of carcinogenesis induced by an oncogene, either viral or radiation or chemical carcinogen or an unknown risk factors. So these are the tumor specific antigens. Second variety is the tumor associated antigen. They are also called oncofetal proteins or antigens, seen both in embryofetal tissues and in the cancer cell. Their examples are carcinoembryonic antigen and the alpha fetoproteins. Now we will see how the oncofetal antigens are produced in our body. So during embryonic life, there is a specific gene which is producing certain embryonic antigen which will be seen on the uh, surface of the cell nucleus, and they are the functional gene. But as the fetus grows to adult life, these genes are repressed and the antigen is not expressed, and they are not seen in the blood of the adult period. But as the malignant process occurs, these genes again get de-repressed or reactivated, or then there will be excess production of this embryonal antigen, and that will be seen as the tumor antigen on the surface of the malignant cell nucleus. So oncofetal antigen, the best example is the chorioembryonic antigen and alpha fetoproteins. Now, how will you classify tumor markers? Tumor markers are classified as antigen, either as antigens, hormones, enzymes, or proteins, or tissue-specific substances. Now we can see how they are classified. And oncofetal proteins, example we have already discussed, that is seen both in fetal life as well as in the tumor. So examples are alpha fetoproteins, which are seen in hepatoma or germ cell cancer, carcinoembryonic antigen, that is CEA, seen in colorectal cancer, gastrointestinal and lung cancer. Then second variety is the carbohydrate antigen or CA125, that is seen in ovarian cancer of epithelial origin. Then the tissue antigens are there, seen in tissue polypeptide antigen, and that is seen in the general cancer load. There are enzymes which are acting as tumor markers. One of the important thing is the alkaline phosphatase, seen in bone secondaries, placental type of alkaline phosphatase seen in lung and seminomas, and the prostatic specific acid phosphatase seen in prostate cancer, and also prostatic specific antigens that is also present in prostate cancer. Then neuron specific enolase seen in the nervous system tumors. Now there are certain hormones which are using as the tumor marker. Beta human chorionic gonadotrophin or beta HCG is a tumor marker of choriocarcinoma. Then calcitonin of the thyroid gland is a tumor marker of the medullary carcinoma thyroid. Then big ACTH is the tumor marker of lung node cell carcinoma. Vasoactive intestinal peptides are the tumor marker of epidermis, and you have studied BMA and hydroxyindoleacetic acid, and they are used as tumor markers for pheochromocytoma and neuroblastoma, and the 5-hydroxyindoleacetic acid is the marker of the carcinoid syndrome. Then there are tissue catabolite products, hydroxyproline seen in bone metastasis, and serum proteins are also seen as the tumor markers, immunoglobulins that is seen in multiple myeloma and macroglobulinemia, and Bernstein's proteins in urine is a tumor marker of multiple myeloma. Then there are some receptor tumor markers, estrogen receptor, progesterone receptors, and HER2 receptor, HER2 or EGFR2. Estrogen and progesterone receptors are the tumor markers of carcinoma breast and carcinoma uterus, and HER2 again is a tumor marker of carcinoma breast. You can see in this diagram various organs and then their tumor marker. Breast cancer CA125, CEA and HER2, and stomach cancer CEA, and colon cancer CEA again, pancreatic cancer CA125 and CEA, ovarian cancer CA125 and CA, lung cancer CA125 and CA, liver cancers AFP, prostate cancer PSA, and testicular cancer AFP and HCG. So by measuring these tumor markers, you can confirm the diagnosis. Now we'll pass on to the individual tumor marker, carcinoembryonic antigen or CEA. CEA is an oncofetal antigen, frequently and widely used tumor marker. Gold and Friedman described as tumor-specific antigen in cancer cells in circulation of patients with gastrointestinal malignancy and also in normal epithelial cells of the gastrointestinal tract. Hence the name CEA due to the presence in the cancer as well as in the embryonic tissue. So they are seen in fetal life and also in the malignant stage. That is why they are called the carcinoembryonic antigens. They are glycoproteins with molecular weight of 185 kD. They are the most useful tumor marker in colorectal carcinoma. They are present in 50% cases of breast cancer, bronchogenic carcinoma, especially small cell type, then pancreatic carcinoma, gastric carcinoma, prostatic carcinoma, and carcinoma of urinary bladder, ovarian and uterine cancer. So apart from colorectal carcinoma, 50% cases of these type of cancers also there will be elevated level of carcinoembryonic cancer. Then they are the best available non-invasive tumor marker for the post-operative monitoring of the colorectal carcinoma. They give high false positive results, that is normal value would not rule out the presence of a cancer. So that is the one disadvantage of this tumor marker, and also they give false positive results, that is abnormally elevated values have been reported in certain benign tumors. So these two are the main drawbacks of the CEA. False positive results are seen in irritable bowel syndrome, ulcerative colitis, benign breast tumors, rectal polyps, emphysema, etc. The next important tumor marker is the alpha fetoprotein. Again, an oncofetal antigen. It's a glycoprotein of molecular weight 70,000 Dalton. It is a fetal albumin, physically and chemically related to the adult albumin of Pi 4.8. It is synthesized in the liver, yolk sac, and gastrointestinal tract in fetal life and released into the serum. The AFP is an ideal marker for the primary carcinoma of the liver, that is hepatocellular carcinoma. Normal value is less than 10 nanograms per ml. Now, elevated values are seen in germ cell tumors, teratoma of the ovary, and pregnancy with fetal malformation of the neural tube. A value more than 300 nanogram per ml is associated with cancer and also in non-malignant tumors. Value above 1000 nanograms per ml is confirmative except in pregnancy. The level over 4000 nanogram per ml is diagnostic of liver cancer. There are a different type of AFP, that is fucosylated fraction of AFP known as AFP-L3. It's a specific marker of hepatocellular carcinoma. Now carbohydrate antigen or CA125. CA125 is an antigenic determinant expressed by the epithelial ovarian carcinoma and it is detected by monoclonal antibodies. Old name of this was OC125. Used for screening ovarian carcinoma. The level correlate with the tumor mass. The elevated values are seen in breast cancer, pancreatic and colorectal carcinoma. About 70% of the patients with carcinoma ovary have elevated value. That is 50% of cases in stage 1 and 90% of cases in stage 2. So it is important, one of the important tumor marker in the ovarian carcinoma. Is a glycoprotein of molecular weight 10 million. Normal level in the blood is usually less than 35 international units, 35 units per. The next tumor marker is the human chorionic gonadotropins or beta HCG. It's a placental hormone synthesized by syncytial trophoblastic cells of the placental villi. The level is markedly elevated in pregnancy, peak level by 12 weeks of pregnancy. The level later on declines slowly and reaches 1/5 of the peak by the end of the 25th week and remains very low level for the few days after delivery. So measurement of the serum and urine level of beta-HCG is used as a test for diagnosing pregnancy. It's a glycoprotein, molecular weight 45 kd. It's a dimer having two subunits. Normal value less than 20 international units per liter in males and non-pregnant females. Value more than 10,000 international units per liter indicates the trophoblastic tumor. Now in this graph, we can see the follow-up case. You can, if you measuring the level of chorionic gonadotrophins, you can get an idea whether the patient is having relapses. So here you can see the when the treatment start, the value is like this, and slowly it comes down, and finally again it is values increasing. That shows that the tumor is recurring. So again the value goes up. That means the uh, recurrence of the tumor is there. So it is used in the follow-up cases. So if you measure the chorionic gonadotrophin level serially during the course of treatment, you can get an idea whether there is any recurrence. Then beta-HCG is an ideal marker for diagnosing, monitoring the gestational tumors and germ cell tumors of testis and ovary, increased in iridodytiform mole and choriocarcinoma. The frequency of elevated beta-HCG is seen in seminomas 50%, embryonal carcinoma 50%, teratocarcinoma 42%, and choriocarcinoma 100%. So it's a ideal tumor marker for the choriocarcinoma. Beta-HCG in CSF is diagnostic of brain metastasis. A serum is to CSF ratio less than 60:1 is diagnostic of CNS metastasis. Tissue polypeptide antigen TPA, a common human carcinoma antigen produced during G2 phase of cell cycle and then released into the surrounding fluids during mitosis. It's a specific for a not specific for a particular cancer, seen in blood as long as the tumor is proliferating. So with the other markers, they help in follow-up of patients. So it is not a specific marker. Next important tumor marker is prostatic specific antigen PSA. They are produced by secretory epithelium of prostate gland, secreted in seminal fluid for the liquefaction of seminal coagulum. It is a glycoprotein of 32 kd molecular weight, seen in complex with alpha-1 antitrypsin in plasma. The PSA level increased in prostatic carcinoma, that is 60 to 70% of cases. Normal level is less than 4 nanograms per liter. Total PSA between 4 and 10 nanograms per liter with low free PSA are likely to have malignancy. So there are two forms of PSA in the blood, protein bound and the free PSA. As the level of free PSA goes up, less likely is that there is a prostate cancer. So it's inversely related. PSA more than 25 of the total PSA, prostate cancer is unlikely. Free PSA 10% means cancer is likely. Next tumor marker is the estrogen receptor. It's a protein found in the nucleus of the breast and uterine tissue. About 2 out of 3 breast cancers are positive for ER markers. The level of estrogen receptors will give an idea whether the cancer of breast is responding to tamoxifen chemotherapy. This tamoxifen will acts by binding with the receptors and block the action of estrogen. Usually this hormone estrogen will stimulate the growth of the cancer cells. So just an estrogen analog like drug tamoxifen, if you are giving, that will bind to the receptors and then blocks the action of estrogen and reduces the growth of the tumor. ER negative patients are at high risk of recurrence than the ER positive women. So if there is, if the patients are ER negative, they are the high risk patients. A value less than 6 femtomole per milligram protein is negative and greater than 10 femtomole per milligram protein is the positive. Now, next one is the progesterone receptor or PRS. Consists of two proteins located in nuclei of the breast and uterine tissue. Same prognostic value as estrogen receptors in breast cancer. ER and PR negative patients will have less than 5% chances for response to chemotherapy. Patients who are test positive for both estrogen receptor and progesterone receptors have more than 80% chance of tumor shrinkage on hormonal therapy. Normal level, again less than 6 femtomole per milligram protein and greater than 10 femtomole per milligram protein is positive. Now the HER2/neu or ERB2 or EGFR2, that is human epidermal growth factor receptors. This is a protein that stimulates the breast cancer cell to grow. Its level is seen in cancer tissue only, not in the blood. HER positive is seen in 1 in 5 breast cancers, and this type of cancer grow aggressively. So HER positive cases responds to treatment with trastuzumab, that is Herceptin, or lapatinib, Tykerb, which work against the HER2 receptors on the breast tissue. So they will bind to the receptors on the breast tissue and prevents the breast tissue cells to grow. Next is beta microglobulin or B2M. Normal level is less than 2.5 milligrams per liter. Elevated values seen in multiple myeloma, chronic lymphocytic leukemia and some lymphomas. Higher B2M have poor prognosis. Their level is estimated during treatment in multiple myeloma to see the response. Now immunoglobulins. Bence-Jones protein in urine is a tumor marker in the multiple myeloma that you have studied. Next is the calcitonin. It's a hormone produced by parafollicular C cells of the thyroid gland. Normal level is 5 to 12 picograms per ml. It is seen elevated in medullary carcinoma of the thyroid, that is more than 100 picogram per ml. A medullary thyroid carcinoma is often inherited, so early detection in families at risk is possible in the early stage. Then thyroglobulins, their level is increased in many thyroid diseases including common thyroid cancer. After surgery or chemotherapy, level may fall to undetectable level. So again a rise indicate the recurrence. So these two are from the thyroid gland. Now neuron specific enolase. It's a marker of neuroendocrine tumor as small cell cancer, neuroblastoma and carcinoid tumor. Useful for the follow-up in small cell carcinoma of the lung or neuroblastoma. So they are neuron specific enolase enzyme. Abnormal levels 9 microgram per ml. The neuron-specific enolase is found in some non-neuroendocrine cancers also, so they are not a specific tumor marker. Then the tumor markers are not seen commonly or used commonly are the CA15-3, that is seen in breast carcinoma, CA19-9, that is seen in pancreatic cancer. So in pancreatic cancer nowadays we are doing the estimation of CA19-9 and MCAR, mucin-like carcinoma associated antigen. It's a tumor marker of again breast cancer. Mammary serum antigen or MSA is again a tumor marker of breast cancer, and mitogen activated protein kinase, that is again a tumor marker of the breast cancer. They are not routinely done, but along with other tumor marker for the confirmation they are also done.